You are now in the black box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka VJ Keyway, and the Google Gang. Let's go!
Snake Wood Nip Hustle. Big shout out to my nigga SPI, Spider Loke. You know I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
Jeter. Gratitude is the attitude. The show is a blessing to be back in the black box as we blow a succession. The constant, consistent, continuous content creation campaign continues. Those are the 7 C's that we navigate upon. And as we do so, I am the captain of the ship, SPI Easty, a.k.a. VJ Keyway, Mr. 1597 himself. And we're here again for our very own R&R hour where we relax, roll up, and randomly reacts to content in these YouTube streets. We back with another 1090 Jake Exposed because I didn't realize this was something he was keeping going. We back at Byron Blank. We had one the other day. I thought that was the one. But I guess he got a 1090 Jake Exposed marathon. And I think 1090 Jake can't stand exposure. He's an exposer, so the title is 1090 Jake Exposed, How 1090 Jake Took Down the Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods, Part 1. See, this is why this was interesting to me. I'm coming to learn this sex, money, murder. I remember a couple sex, money, murder cats in New York when I was around G-Unit, but now we just did one about them having a stronghold in Georgia. This one is about Florida. That's really why. Let's see what these sex, money, murder cats been up to with no further ado. So many niggas from state to state comfortable gangbanging under the umbrella of sex. That's just, I don't get that. Oh, my.
Over the past couple of years, I know many of you, like myself, have been wondering, what is up with Jake and the Island Boys? I mean, as much as some of y'all may dislike this 1090 Jake Exposed series, we have to acknowledge that 1090 Jake has been consistently riding the Island Boys for about 4 years now. Well, I decided to look into it. And while 1090 Jake appeared to be pressing a line, what I found was that he was actually staying true to his agenda to bring down gangs and drug operations. So on today's episode of 1090 Jake Exposed, I will be breaking down how 1090 Jake used exposing the Island Boys as a cover-up for his role in helping to dismantle the Florida chapter of the Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. After Jake made his appearance on the news in what was clearly a third-party cooperating move to stop the prison drug operations,
I was trying to shed light on inmate deaths in the system and how many overdose deaths were being reported as natural or accidental. I was sent videos by current prisoners who couldn't get the message out, so I used my platform to be their voice.
The Florida Department of Corrections would stay true to its word and take the matter seriously, causing them to shake down many prisons, and that would lead to the discovering of a lot of contraband cell phones. Those contraband cell phones would turn up a lot of information. That information would be used to aid the state and federal authorities with launching investigations into several different organizations that had a presence in the Florida Department of Corrections, amongst which were the Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. Florida DEA ATF Special Agent and Detective Danny Polo, who is also working as a gang expert on the Y&W Melly case, and also the guy that 1090 Jake wants us to believe only mentioned him in the Y&W Melly case because he's a crazed fan of Jake, testified that while working as a gang specialist in the organized crime unit, he worked on prison wiretaps cases. He listed multiple different organizations, but he emphasized that he worked on a big wiretaps case involving the Bloods. Around that same time, Polk County, which is a part of the multi-jurisdictional gang operation that they have down there in Florida, announced that they had just done their first gang wiretap case on the Sex, Money, Murder, Bloods. Detective Danny Polo joined the Organized Crime Task Force in the year 2018. 1090 Jake's YouTube channel, End of Sentence, was started in 2019 and immediately became a treasure trove of information about the Florida prison system and how the gangs operate within the Florida prison system. Detective Danny Polo also testified during the Y&W Melly trial that when he's asked to conduct a gang investigation or review a case to be prepared as a gang investigator, the first thing he does is look for any and all publicly available information that he can get without a warrant, such as pictures or videos posted to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because people usually wear distinctive colors, clothing, or throw hand signs that make their affiliation identifiable. So it should come as no surprise that while Florida investigators were investigating Florida gangs that were operating within Florida prisons, that they used a Florida-based YouTube channel that gave all of the ins and outs of Florida prison and Florida prison gangs. Now that we know Detective Danny,
and we see how the authorities are tapped into social media, this is not far-fetched or unbelievable. Oh, my mama.
Polo is a member of the multi-agency task force, and he's also been deputized as a special agent with the DEA and ATF since 2018, and he loves to use open source information to gain his intel. Let's break down how this ties 1090 Jake to the takedown of over 41 alleged members of Sex Money Murder for allegedly distributing drugs.
You are bad, Jakey.
Into the Florida state prison system. As I said earlier, after Jake made his appearance on the news, there were shakedowns at prisons all over the state of Florida. And once again, just in case you had doubts about what his intentions were, listen to this.
I was trying to shed light on inmate deaths in the system and how many overdose deaths were being reported as natural or accidental. I was sent videos by current prisoners who couldn't get the message out, so I used my platform to be their voice.
If you listen closely to Jake, he said he was sent the videos by prisoners who wanted to get the word out, and he used his platform to do that. These are inmates who wanted to get the drug operation busted. He used his platform to help them achieve that goal. If you look at the videos that Jake posted on his YouTube channel and that he ultimately took to the news to help shed light on this situation, as he calls it, the video he claims were sent to him to help get the word out were not of any dirty guard activity. They were not of any abuse or any inhumane circumstances. All they showed were cell phones. And as I've said in earlier videos, after this news segment aired, the department said they were going to take this matter very serious.
You think Jake had good intentions and they just used it for this purpose, or was this what he was really on? Huh, Jake?
And they stuck to their word and did just that. Jake would initially make his appearance on the news on January 21st, 2020.
Oh, that's the day my grandbaby was born. That's crazy. 2 days after my birthday. That's her exact birthday, though. Love you, Winter.
And by the beginning of February, they had already began shaking down facilities. Those shakedowns turned up cell phones. And like I said, those cell phones turned up a lot of information. In 2022, the Polk County Sheriff's Office would issue a press release stating that after a year-long investigation, they had charged 41 alleged members of Sex Money Murder, stating that they worked with the Organized Crime Unit, the Florida Department of Corrections, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and the Attorney General's Office. They had produced racketeering charges. This investigation was initiated in March of 2021 when information based on a historical ongoing investigation led them to this information. Of course, my belief is that the historical ongoing investigation was related to 1090 Jake and his news clip and the exposing of all of those cell phones inside of the Florida prisons. It was a very...
Byron Blake, why you on this bumper like this? You just took it up for the culture and the cause, or y'all got something personal? I'm just curious, dog. Do your shit, though.
A technical way of saying that information that we found led to this information that we charging them with. So going on during 2021, at the exact same time as this investigation, is 1090 Jake's pressing of the Island Boys for allegedly claiming to be BLOODS, specifically claiming to be Sex Money Murder. which is crazy because Jake don't even claim sex money murder. But I guess he was just doing what we like to call beating the bushes, trying to get some intel out of these guys, staying true to the course of the investigation. But anyway, when asked about this on a public platform, the Island Boys would deny any affiliation.
But if there were any Bloods watching who wanted to put you on, you'd be down.
We know, that's the thing, we know Bloods that always try to put us down in this and that. we're not really caring
I don't really care to be a Blood.
Yeah, okay. we're not really caring about.
What about Crit?
I don't want to be known. that would be a crazy story. But I don't got no problem to no Chris and like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to just stay out of it, I feel like.
You don't need to. I don't gotta be in a gang. We're from Florida. You don't need a gangbang to be. You feel me? You can make your own thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm on my type of side. I know my value. I know who I am. I don't have to be a gamer. Like I know I make money without being in a gang.
Despite this very public denial of any affiliation on October 7th, on October 28th, 1090 Jake would release a video in which he claimed that he had a private conversation with the Island Boys and they told him some private information, but he still came to the internet with it publicly. That conversation included details about who was responsible for making the Island Boys members of Sex Money Murder.
Surprisingly, Fly was a likable person and kept everything real, which is what I respect about him. More or less, the Island Boys were blessed in to Sex Money Murder by a rapper named 21 Murky, who's apparently from Florida but affiliated with 21 Savage's people out in Atlanta.
Despite 1090 Jake's claims that the Island Boys were fake Bloods, the guy that he has on the screen, 21 Murky, is documented as early as 2015, before any of us even knew that Jake existed as a gang member. In fact, the article says that he was stopped because the police recognized him as a gang member. And 1090 Jake just put his face on the screen and told all of these people that he is actively recruiting for Sex Money Murder. He also identified the Island Boys as a possible source of intel about Sex Money Murder, which is why it was no shocker when the state seemed to be a couple steps ahead and caught an alleged Sex Money Murder member who had allegedly killed an 8-year-old girl in a drive-by at the Island Boys' house just 3 days after the incident happened. What's really happened is the
Punk-ass drive-by. Rest in peace to that baby angel.
Detective Danny Polo has watched this whole saga play out over the internet and via Jake's YouTube channel and has used the information gained during watching these videos to stay a few steps ahead in this investigation. Let's not forget Detective Danny Polo was a member of the multi-agency task force, the tactical deployment team, which was an agency that worked in the Tri-County area. The Tri-County area includes Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Belle Glade is in Palm Beach County, and all of these events happen in Belle Glade. So, after Jake's news clip produced such positive results, and they were able to actually do shakedowns and come up with cell phones that led to the amounts of intel that it led to, Detective Danny Polo kind of just started sitting back and watching 1090 Jake's platform to see what new information will be coming out. And even though he doesn't claim Sex Money Murder, Jake would continue to speak on Sex Money Murder and continue to talk about screening the Island Boys about being Sex Money Murder as if he was some kind of enforcer for Sex Money
This wacko no honey type shit on my mama.
Murder or for all of the Bloods in general.
I hit up the Island Boys because they talking about they were saying they were Sex Money Murder.
Right, yeah.
All right, well, you in the state of Florida, so if you're gonna be that, there's a specific you have to know. I wanted to know if he knew that specific person. He didn't.
Not Chico, that guy who kidnapped him?
Nah, I'm talking about a real Blood.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying when this shit like it's just tapped in for real. You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows each other. Everyone can get in contact. It's real deal shit. That's how you figure out who ain't what they said it is.
Meanwhile, Detective Danny Polo is cross-referencing this information with information that he's picking up while working on a prison drug operation case and what he calls a big wiretap case against the Bloods. Using 21 Murky's social media as a starting point since 1090 Jake said that he was the one doing the recruiting, and looking through all of his pictures and all of his friends and looking through their friends and looking through their friends and looking to see if they see any gang signs or anything that could get them access to a search warrant so they can get into the messages and possibly even intercept some calls. If you think that sounds far-fetched, just listen.
Evil must be contained. And that means taking dangerous people out of our communities and putting them behind bars where they cannot hurt anyone else.
As part of
YNs, this is why y'all got to get y'all program together. Do you know what the American people think of you when people get up in front of cameras looking like that and discuss your activities in such a fashion? You might not even be a joint like that, but just because you carry yourself a certain way, just because you frequent certain places, this is how you viewed. And when you come before them people in them courtrooms, they've seen these clips and they know what, they talk to these people outside of their official capacity as a professional. They're in the grocery store, in the bank. The kids go to the same school. They have PTA meetings together. They go to church together. And so that energy resonates well. You do not want to have a target on your back as menace to society, enemy number one, the filth that needs to be flushed. That is not a healthy way to exist out here to my people. So my mama got to sharpen up. Even bad guys, real bad guys know you don't want to look the part. Why be a bad guy and stand out and flag yourself as a bad guy? I saw a whole generation of culture in LA go through that. Gotta learn, man. We can't afford to keep making the same mistakes. And I'm not saying be the bad guy, but if you are the bad guy, why say, hey, hi, I'm the bad guy? That's not fly.
the investigation, detectives used what the sheriff called a gang wiretap, or T3, a first in Polk County. Members basically informed on themselves.
Oh yeah, gang members, listen up.
Yeah, asshole.
We can intercept your social media. You can't pay attention to all that hype you hear. We got it, and we got them because of it.
See, even though a lot of these guys that got indicted on this case were already incarcerated, and some of them incarcerated for the long ride, I mean really serving life sentences, the discovery of these phones made it easy for the state to identify the names and rankings of members. Once they were able to get the names, then they were able to look these guys' social media up. And once they found the social media, they just looked for any evidence of crimes or even evidence of membership. Now, I know y'all saying if the leadership is from Orlando and Jake told from YouTube, how did this case end up in Polk County? Well, once again, the discovery of those contraband cell phones led to the discovery of text messages, and some of those text messages dated back years. That helped shed light on a lot of things. And one of those things was a string of home invasions and violent crimes that had taken place in Polk County. And while Polk County had made arrests in those cases, they were able to establish through this new intel that those crimes were actually gang related. This led to wiretapping phone calls and social media accounts, as well as reviewing jail calls and even reviewing old jail calls. That led to even more information, including information that the sex money murder prison drug operation was possibly being ran by an inmate who was still in the Polk County jail waiting to be sent to Florida State Prison. Of course, Polk County would jump at the opportunity to close some cases and make some headlines, and the Florida Department of Corrections would not pass on the opportunity to show everybody that they were standing on their word. Ironically, even though an 8-year-old little girl lost her life, Jake would still call the island boy a snitch for telling the police that his friend handed him a gun as he was running to try to hide in the closet, and that he ain't know nothing about this whole situation.
At the end of the day, he didn't have to say anything. He could have just let the investigation play out. But he decided to say, look, I don't know what the fuck's going on. He tried to give me the gun. I didn't take it. So to sum it all up, Fly Soldier did tell. But I mean, 90% of y'all watching would have did the same fucking thing.
What about some of them? Jake, pot curse. Yep. I just see some content. Byron Blake, is Jake ignoring you or does he respond to any of this content? I'm just curious.
People love to talk about the code. And Jake loves to excuse himself from this snitching right here that you see on your screen where he wrote up that Jimmy hit him in the head with a rock and a sock. He loves to excuse himself from this by saying, that's not snitching. I was writing up the COs. But he has the audacity to call this guy a snitch for separating himself from the murder and possibly the murder weapon of an 8-year-old girl. I'm saying that to say that Jake shows no mercy when it comes to deciphering paperwork and calling somebody a snitch based on if they worked with the police or cooperated with the police.
Does the snitching rule change if it's some reckless activity and a baby girl get killed? Do it matter, or is it still, you better not say nothing? Let me know in the comments.
Or not, regardless of the circumstances. By that standard, and if I'm being completely honest, by all standards, what Jake did with going on the news and exposing these videos with the intent of busting up these prison drug operations is snitching. This most definitely considered snitching. And the Department of Corrections said that they would take the information seriously, which they did. They immediately performed mass cell searches and mass shakedowns, and that led to charges being brought by the Inspector General's office. But to the credit of the audience, one of the reasons I believe Jake was able to get away with this for so long is because he denied that there were any shakedowns and claimed that nobody could produce any paperwork showing that any officers had been arrested behind this incident.
They would claim the officers must have raided the prisons I was at, but I'd already been out of prison for 5 years. And what officers got arrested? See, the Florida Department of Corrections has a website newsroom that covers press releases, staff assaults, and officer-involved arrests. But not one article can be produced showing any officer was ever arrested.
Well, here I have you the paperwork of one officer who was arrested as a result of a shakedown that happened immediately after. And this is why 1090 Jake was named in the Y&W Melly case. Not because he has any specific connection to Melly in this case, but because he's a self-proclaimed blood.
People like, oh, you don't, ain't no white bloods, ain't no this, ain't no that. There really ain't.
Right.
So at this point in time, not to sound no type of way, but I'm about the biggest known white blood that there is.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
He might be right though, huh? If you're really a white blood.
It's not common like that.
It's not.
Who has put information about the Bloods on the internet that they have since verified. They now view 1090 Jake as a credible source. Detective Danny Polo's love for his career has him on a path to be the very best at it and to achieve the top rank. So he and his tactical deployment team from the Broward County Sheriff's Organized Crime Unit would not let the investigation into sex, money, murder end there.
News, this suspected leader of a notorious violent gang in Florida has been captured in Hastings thanks to a joint effort by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and Broward County Sheriff's Office. 23-year-old Andrew Mariano was arrested when the two agencies raided his home. And investigators say Mariano is one of 10 suspected senior leaders of the sex, money, murder, blood gang.
Damn. So these New York niggas started something that got these straight white boys banging in Florida. Wow. That's crazy.
Known as SMM.
SMM is a set of the Bloods street gang that operates along the East Coast. News4Jax reporter Eric Gavin joining us now with more on this major gang investigation. Eric?
You know, Joy, it's amazing to see how far this investigation stretched and how many jurisdictions actually got involved with this. Now, this is a multi-year investigation.
Jake, you bet not be responsible for this. How you be on here popping it. I need to hear some response. If he has reacted or responded to this, somebody put the link in the chat. Because I need to hear what he got to say on my mama.
Led by the Broward County Sheriff's Office, the investigation started in South Florida with the arrest of two commanders of the sex, money, murder blood gang. Their arrest led to the investigation expanding into Central and Northeast Florida. The 10 names on this list have been identified by law enforcement as leaders of the sex, money, murder, blood gang, or SMM. All 10 suspects are now facing charges related to racketeering, which includes underlying offenses of conspiracy to commit murder, directing gang activity, and money laundering. 23-year-old Andrew Mariano of St. Johns County was the 10th suspected SMM leader taken into custody during a raid on his home in Hastings.
Boy, he'll pass every time. Trim up that beard. Keep the beard, put some old flannels on him, some dirty jeans and boots. Yeah, I wasn't doing it right. He'll pass every time. He a cold weapon for a set.
The home is located somewhere behind.
He can't hang out too much, though. Can't dirty him up and let him be known as be with us. Keep him off in the cut, ducked off like a loose lips cannon type on me.
The security gate, according to the Broward Sheriff's Office, the lead agency investigating sex, money, murder, blood gang, the arrest of other suspected leaders led to the discovery of illegal gun and drug trafficking, fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, and even a kill list of the gang's intended victims.
To see white boys always making a list of who they gonna kill, even outside of gangs, just like the serial killers, and they always write down their plans. Crazy manifestos. Knock it off.
A real-life kill list.
Retired JSO Director of Investigations turned News4Jack's crime and safety analyst Tom Hackney was intrigued by the discovery of an actual kill list and what investigators did to protect the people on that list.
You know, they released information that they've actually contacted potential victims and really saved their lives, and to have a real true life kill list from a group that's very capable with a history of committing murders and committing crimes like this, that's pretty shocking.
SMM is one of the original subgroups of United Blood Nation, also known as the East Coast Bloods. SMM began inside a Bronx, New York housing project during the summer of 1996. The gang eventually expanded.
See, they said 89 on that last documentary, but I think they said that's when the gang started. They turned blood. I knew it a lot later. I knew that.
Ended along the East Coast down to Florida.
This is unlike the gangs that we're used to talking about here in Jacksonville.
This is outside of what typically is thought of here in Jacksonville with gangs.
Now, the threat of SMM is so prominent that even though the Broward Sheriff's Office is the lead investigating agency in this open investigation, they're still receiving help from 7 other counties, including the FBI. Meanwhile, all 10 suspects who were arrested will face trials in Highlands County.
This is the part 1, so maybe we'll keep up with this series as it keeps it going. Hey, I know you're just gonna say Spain and all that, but we was in Florida, so I uploaded this when I realized I was gonna do a Florida story. Rest in peace, Russell Whitney Jr. We was actually in Fort Myers. Man, my boy had so much coin. He was like a real life Richie Rich. All this, everything he was in his personal property, from the mansion to the toys. And that ocean water was in his backyard. He had the pool was in his backyard with all them rocks. Looked like a real canyon or something. And you walk right out the backyard. They had a boat. You know how you go to your buddy house, you got a go-kart or something, motorcycle, mini bike. Every time you go over there, he tell you about how much fun it is to ride it, but it ain't work, something broke. Man, this dude had this boat in the backyard, and on a random day, we could just go on that and get in the ocean, bro. Rest in peace, Russ Whitney Jr. Oh, my mama. Sit back and chillax.
Hey, girl, what you doing at the airport?
What? The airport? When? Now?
As soon as possible.
Baby, you know I have a lot to do. You know I'm like really busy around here.
I'm trying to work it out.
Okay, I'll try.
To my nigga SPI, Spotter Low, you know I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe, stay tuned, all that.
It's the homie cook-up boss, goddammit, Cub Low. And y'all tuning in to the Wake and Bake Show with goddammit the homeboy Spider Low.
Me with SPI, the realest nigga in LA.
Spider this bitch! My nigga is Spider Low. Spider Low, nigga.
Spider Low.
It's Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low, that's my nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low. Shout out to SPI, that motherfucking nigga.
Spider Low, Wake and Bake. Better keep it Google, nigga.
Loke is in LA somewhere doing what he's doing.
In the words of Spider Loke on my mama's mama.
Spider Loke's gear. This is Bay Mac.
Nate Blood, C-Mac. Shout out my Loke, Spider Loke, cuz. Nate Blood, on hood. It's a beautiful world. You fight me? Fight, quit.
Point blank. no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my
continue.
competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A east side millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be. Yeah.
You are now in the black box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang.
Let's go!